Escape room workers of Reddit, what's the most absurd thing players have done? So this isn't necessarily absurd on the player's side, but instead from the game master. One time our players were doing the bank heist theme, done in the dark and you have headlamps, and about 4 puzzles in one of my employees realized they had an item in their pockets still. So we brain blasted for a couple minutes and decided the best course of action was to pretend the employee was a security guard and walk around the bank. So we went over the room intercom and warned them to hide cause it looked like the security guard was coming to them. Seeing all of the players hide in complete fear was priceless. One guy wasn't even hiding, he was just sprawled up against the wall. Our security guard walked around, said HMMPH everything seems good and placed the item down on the desk. It was legendary that they didn't suspect anything. I interviewed for a job at an escape room. They told me that one of their standard instructions you must tell every group is to not stick things in electrical outlets because too many people did it. What's fucked up is, I went to an escape room in LA where one of the puzzles was literally to stick a fork in a socket. Everyone told me I was insane when I suggested it. But 2 of the prongs were folded back and there was fake soot around the fake outlet. I did it and boom, gave us the next clue. I thought it was super stupid though. Why risk people learning that behavior and trying it elsewhere? Had a group come in, I noticed they had been drinking a little, but seemed mostly fine. So I let them into the room and start the clock. They were just wandering around. At the half-an-hour mark they were laying on the floor and rolling around. They didn't do any harm to the room. I don't remember if they even solved one puzzle. When I let them out after an hour they claimed it was fun. But they didn't really do anything? And did they remember it the next day? In the Netherlands there is this prison escape room where everyone is a prisoner and you have to escape prison. It is done in an actual ancient prison. There are about 300 participants and 85 actors, mostly prison guards and some prisoners. They have over 15 storylines which you can follow, and there are other inmates, actors, which will lead those storylines and send you on quests. Coming back to the question, at the beginning they warned everyone that no physical contact is allowed because during the first time people would actually threat each other to get money and guards have been attacked. Also they had to warn people that you weren't supposed to try climbing the 50 feet high prison wall. First thing I had to learn working at an escape room, everything, yes everything, in the room was going to be dismantled, pulled on, or messed with in some way. Have a screwdriver in the room? Maybe there's a clue in the light switch cover. Black light? Must have to take it completely apart. TV for clues? Must have to unplug/change inputs. And anything not nailed down is bound to be broken. Not sure if this counts. I did an escape room with a group of friends. At the end, you found a flash drive which was supposed to be plugged into a computer. We opened the document and there were instructions to print. We got print, and the printer gave us an out of ink error. We assumed this was part of the game and started looking for a magenta cartridge. Then an employee slipped in the room, replaced the cartridge, and told us to hit print again. Apparently it was not part of the game. They just ran out of ink. I can't imagine building an escape room and thinking, oh, you know what's dependable and works all the time that we should allow the general public to touch? Printers. Nothing ever goes wrong with those. One time, a group was trying to figure out the code to a locked compartment. So this huge guy in the group decided this was a waste of time and tried to rip off the compartment door with his bare hands. He was almost successful, but we stopped him before he could do further damage to the door. He didn't understand what was wrong. Another one happened where a group were handcuffed and they couldn't find the key. The game master was trying to give them clues to find the key, but they still couldn't find it. So one group member thought it would be best to use his leg. There was a table in the room with some items on it. He proceeded to knock over all the items with one kick. That group didn't win. I went to one where there were 3 identical rooms which teams competed in at the same time. If you finished you then got to watch and listen to the other teams. Our team did pretty well and we got to watch the other two teams try to complete it. Anyway, there was this one lock which was a number combination and you solved it by finding some sheet music in a book, with 5 notes on it, which corresponded to numbers. The piece was entitled The Key or something similar, so you knew you needed it for the lock. Anyway, this other team, instead of converting to numbers and putting in the combination, chanted this 5-note tune at the lock. When it did not work they tried again, then someone else tried. This went on for 10 minutes and got louder and louder. Eventually the game master stepped in and told them it was not going to work. Apparently they were the only team ever to do that. There was an escape room by me that had a terrorist-themed room. You get kidnapped and locked in a room with a bomb on the door. To up the realism, your host was dressed to fit the role of kidnapper and would come over the radio for hints in persona. Eventually the cops would start coming over the radio to guide you out of the room. Anyway, someone walking by the escape room saw people getting kidnapped and called the actual police. The police came by, and the escape room workers explained, but the actual police wanted to confirm with the people in the room. They knocked on the door and said, "Salt Lake City Police, open up," and the group responded, "We can't because there's a bomb strapped to the door." Luckily it ended well with everyone laughing afterwards. News summary. I feel kinda bad about the time our group unscrewed half the pictures on the wall using a paper clip, since none of us had the sense to think that maybe the pictures being screwed down was a sign we weren't supposed to look behind them. Edit, to elaborate, we managed to crack the combination lock to a drawer which had a jar of paper clips in it, to which our reaction was, do we have to pick a lock? At first, and then hey, I think these fit perfectly into the screws but on the walls. Turns out, the actual purpose of the paper clips was to make a chain to dangle into a tube to pick up a key. Can't remember if we had a magnet or a hook to help, which we discovered after looking behind the one picture in the room not screwed down and finding the code to the combination lock on the drawer below the first one. Oh my god, my time has come. People do dumb shit in escape rooms constantly, but that's the whole point, and it's usually in good fun. The best part of my old escape room job was that it was literally right next door to a brothel. People would frequently come to our door not realizing that they were one door over from where they wanted to be and ask, "Hey, how much?" Me, in my customer service voice, "Well, it depends on how many people you bring, it's $40 each if you're a group of 2, and goes down to $32 each if you're a group of 8. Usually we recommend groups of 4 to 6 people, that seems to be the sweet spot. Their looks of horror will make me laugh forever." Obligatory, not a worker, just done a lot of escape rooms and chatted with the staff. These are the dumbest people I've been told about. 1. One of the rooms is based on Jumanji and has a waterfall with real water in it. Enough people have tried to drink the water that they had to tell people not to in their opening spiel. 2. One of the rooms has a bunch of museum-style display cases with glass covering the top with different puzzles inside. One of has sand in it and small holes in the top. Someone tried to tip the display case over and get the sand out so they could read the hidden message. When the game master told them to stop doing that, she stopped momentarily and then tried again 2 minutes later. The game master told her if she did it again she'd be kicked out, and the woman said, "Just making sure you're paying attention." 3. People constantly try to pull up floorboards or tear down wallpaper in the horror-themed room, even after they're told there's nothing hidden there and warned not to do it or they'll get charged for the damage. Hey, one I can answer. Kinda. I was the dude in the room. It was my first 10-year-old brother's birthday party and children are dumb AF. It was themed around a nuclear power station that was gonna blow up the town, and essentially what happened was we had an hour to complete 3 rooms. We took 45 minutes to get through the first because kids kept throwing stuff around. One guy got freaked out thinking it was real and pressed the button to end the room. Thankfully it didn't work or something and my dad shouted at him, so he took a tantrum and fucking locked himself in a drawer. Then because the kids can't organize shit, we had to hunt for the most stressful 3 minutes of my life for the key. And then we got through and it was sorta okay from there, cause a lot of kids up and left the room. Never again. Never, ever, again. I'll weigh in with my mildly amusing escape room anecdote. Not that absurd, more anticlimactic. This was actually a break-in format where you were supposed to recover some locked-up MacGuffin. We were really close and the next step evidently was to unlock a door. We solved the puzzle that we figured would allow us to do this, but then when we tried the door, it wouldn't open. So for the remaining 15 minutes or so, we scrambled frantically looking for more clues to figure out how to open this damn door, but failed. When we asked about it afterwards, the guy was confused because the last puzzle we solved was the one that should have opened the door. After some back and forth, it turns out, the door just has a bit of a funny handle. Not part of the puzzle in any way, just a door that works different from what you're used to. That's all that stood between us and sweet victory. Finally, a question I can answer. Most of the time people are just plain stupid. Which can be fun and frustrating depending on how the people react to realizing it. It's very annoying when the people are cocky beforehand and then don't manage anything without a hint and somehow blame us for messing up. There's also been instances of people throwing up or trying to use the prop toilet inside of one of the prison cells, but I think my favorite absurd thing was the one proposal I had while I worked at an escape game. You might think, well, isn't that romantic? And I thought so too, until I found out that escape rooms aren't just something they both love that makes the proposal unique. It was the first room ever. Never played an escape game ever. Weird choice of scenery to propose. Even weirder when you consider that they took 2 friends with them. But it doesn't end there. They barely managed to get out and the ring was hidden in the very last queue, so if they hadn't managed, shit would have become very awkward. It did anyway, because when he proposed, neither of their friends really reacted to it, just stood there blankly. Which was made even worse by the fact that the guy was supposed to film the whole thing, which he didn't, and the other girl didn't even know he was proposing, so the surprise at least should have coerced a smile out of her. Nothing. The proposal speech was also delivered with as much passion as a paper bag, and as it turned out the dude told everyone at the reception that he didn't really want to marry her, at least not for the time being, but she got pregnant, so now it kind of pushed him into it. She said yes, but holy shit, all of us watching were hoping she wouldn't. Now imagine proposing, or even worse, being proposed to in an escape room, knowing you are being watched and listened to through cameras. What an absurd choice to make. Obligatory, not an escape room worker, but participant. Once I went to an escape room with my mom, dad, mom's BFF and her 2 sons. The premise of the room was a bank heist. We start off trying to break in from a small room after solving the clues there. Afterwards we go to another room via the bricks in the wall, solve the clues there, open the vault, take as much as we can. Meanwhile the alarm starts to blare and we need to get out quickly via another brick wall. In the second room, there were a couple of murdered dummies and an actor, who was playing dead. He was the one who sounded the alarm after we managed to break into the vault. Well, everyone was trying to get into that aforementioned vault. I was aiding there with my empty money bag and decided to loot the dead bodies, including the actor, either for more clues or valuables. We were pretending to be robbers, after all. Sadly, all of the bodies had nothing on them. After all is over and done with, we took the money bags but managed to bolt. We sit there and talk about the room, pretty thrilled. That was when the GM comes, laughing his ass off, in tow with the actor, who looks pretty bewildered. What they told us was that during the 3 years, at the time, this escape room was created, nobody had tried to frisk the bodies, not to mention so thoroughly. I checked every pocket, even took the shoes off the dummies. Didn't go that far with the actor, though. I felt really bad. I didn't realize the actor wasn't a dummy. He was laying on his face during the heist, and I didn't take his shoes out, because I noticed the paper with the code on a shelf close to the body. I was mortified. I had checked even his back pockets. My group was fucking laughing their asses off. Guy was pretty young too, and new in this job. so I guess we were both pretty embarrassed skeptical. I'm not an escape room worker, but I went to a horror-based escape room once where we had a certain amount of time to complete it, or one of the workers would come in dressed up to frighten us and tell us that we had lost. When we entered one of the rooms, we saw that there was a shelf full of old VHS tapes of different movies, one of which was related to the escape room, so we put it on VHS player, got some clues and continued to investigate, but we came to a halt. When we began to run out of time, one of my friends I was with in the escape room had the great idea of trying the rest of the VHS tapes. Most of them were blank, but suddenly one of them started playing a slightly broken children's movie that wasn't at all related to the escape room, and we started to panic because we couldn't take the tape out or turn it off, and suddenly we hear one of the workers who was monitoring us and had a speaker connected to our room laugh his ass out like I haven't heard anyone before at these dumbass. Scared as fuck 15-year-old watching a distorted children's movie in a dark, scarily decorated room. The guy felt so bad he gave us extra time, I suspect to see more of our fuck-ups, before giving us a scare.
Powerful happiness that I just can't seem to guide.